The question I've had recently is why is Counterbalance spiking in price and usage in Modern? After searching Google and YouTube, I couldn't find a clear reason, so I had to start understanding the card a bit more. Before noticing the spike in price, I never actually played with or against the card, and I actually thought it was banned in Modern. I knew the card was popular in Legacy Miracles and used with Sensei's Divining Top, but I've still never had any actual experiences with the card before now. Let's start by talking about what the card is. Counterbalance is an enchantment that costs 2 blue and has a May effect that triggers when your opponent casts a card. The card reads, whenever an opponent plays a spell, you may reveal the top card of your library. If you do, counter that spell if it has the same converted mana cost as the revealed card. So for example, if my opponent casts a lightning bolt while Counterbalance is on my board, I get the chance to reveal the top card of my library, and if it's something like Thought Scour, the opponent's bolt will be countered with no downside. Not only does this allow us to keep the game under control without using resources from our hand, but it can also force our opponent to end their turn prematurely due to the card we have on top. Let's say our opponent had lethal in hand with that bolt, but after it getting countered, they have to end their turn before casting the lava spikes and other 1-drops in their hand. So now that we have a basic understanding of the card, what other cards can we pair it with to abuse it in Modern? There are a couple key cards available in Modern that we can use to get full value from a Counterbalance, which includes cards like Jace the Mind Sculptor, Mishra's Bauble, and the 2 newcomers in Omen of the Sea and Mystic Sanctuary. Something interesting to note about 3 of the 4 cards mentioned is that they can also be paired with everyone's favorite companion Lurrus, but we'll get to that later. Jace is an obvious choice to pair with Counterbalance, seeing as he has Brainstorm on his 0, and it allows you to stack certain mana costs on top depending on the matchup. Next we have Mishra's Bauble, which doesn't truly combo with Counterbalance, but it can allow us to keep our top card hidden from our opponent before revealing it. We can also use Bauble to filter in some cases by checking the top and shuffling it away with a fetch. The 2 newcomers are what really make Counterbalance a true Modern playable now. Let's start with Omen of the Sea. Omen of the Sea is another 2-drop blue enchantment, but the real key to this card is the word right up top, Flash. We can cast Omen at instant speed, check out our top 2 cards, and stack according to what our opponent is attempting to cast. That alone is great, but there's even more value here. Once Omen is on the field, for 3 mana we can sack it to Scry 2 at instant speed yet again, allowing us to have a higher chance of countering something without using resources from our hand. Finally, we have Mystic Sanctuary. This card has been an all-star so far in multiple formats and gives us another way to stack our deck at instant speed and get value from our Counterbalance. If you control 3 islands other than Mystic Sanctuary when it enters, you can put an instant or sorcery from the grave on top of your library, which means we not only get to regain a cantrip or counter, we can also stack something to use our Counterbalance. You may be wondering how we're doing this at instant speed, and it's because Mystic Sanctuary has the island tag itself, meaning it is in fact fetchable. Let's take a look at the main deck Counterbalance fits into. Counterbalance's main home in Legacy is Blue-White Miracles. Miracles is a control deck that answers threats with Disruption and plays numerous cantrips like any other control deck. The thing that differentiates Miracles from a normal control deck is the keyword itself, Miracle. Miracle provides an alternative casting cost for a card which can be used while drawing it if it's the first card drawn during a turn. Most cards with Miracle can be game-changing, but normally come at a hefty cost unless casted with that alternative cost. The goal of Miracles is to stack these cards on top and set up for game-changing swings with them. In Modern, the 2 main Miracles we have access to are Terminus and Entreat the Angels. One allows us to extend the game and wipe away an opponent's board, while the other provides a strong win condition and multiple flyers. The reason Counterbalance is paired with Miracles is simple. Both benefit from stacking the deck with certain cards at certain times. Though we won't have as many stacking options available to us in Modern that we would have in Legacy, it's still a top contender for the best control deck in Modern. Counterbalance can generate insane amounts of value throughout a game, and with cards like Omen of the Sea and Mystic Sanctuary to help us use it more efficiently, it may finally become a force in Modern. As I mentioned before, the main deck we would want Counterbalance in is Blue-White Miracles. In this deck we'll have access to some of the strongest planeswalkers in the format, being Teferi Time Raveler and Jace the Mind Sculptor. We'll want to be playing our big 3, including 3 to 4 Counterbalance along with Entreat the Angels and 3 to 4 Terminus. We'll also be including up to a playset of Omen of the Sea and Mystic Sanctuary to get full value from our big 3. After that, we can fill it in with some basic control staples like Cryptic Command, Force of Negation, and a heavy dose of cantrips. Some people have been opting to abuse the new companion mechanic and shoving Kahira in there as a free 8th card in your opening hand, but it'll come with the cost of cutting out our beloved Snapcasters. It's up to you to decide which you value more. Now getting back to what I mentioned before, pairing Counterbalance with Lurrus. Lurrus is the current heat of every format, and it's likely to get banned fairly soon. If it's already happened, you can skip through this part. Anyways, Lurrus has the same goal as Counterbalance, which is generating value. The main difference between our basic Miracles list and a Lurrus version would be the loss of Teferi and Jace. But gaining access to recurring our baubles, omens, and snaps, while also gaining another threat to beat our opponent down with, is something to consider. We can also make use of important hate and tech cards multiple times, like Engineer Explosives, Aether Spellbomb, and countless other cheat permanents. Counterbalance can also act as a shield for our Lurrus, even when we're tapped down, which leads to value on value. Looking at this chart provided by MTG Goldfish, we can see that Counterbalance has been hovering around the $10 mark for over a year now, up until these spike points on May 13th, May 18th, and May 19th. Within a 6-day span, the card jumped from $9 to an unreal $39. If we look at the recent tournament results, we can see it started here on May 9th when a user by the name of Aspiring Spike went 7-0 in a Modern Challenge playing the deck described earlier on. After this surprising result, more people piloted versions of the deck effectively with consistent 5-0s and 4-1s. The major spike on the 19th was likely due to these lists playing a set of Counterbalance and both going 5-0 in leagues, along with a Modern Preliminary and a Modern Super Qualifier days away. Counterbalance is a card that can generate value at little to no cost and force your opponent into playing off-tempo. The card has recently found new partners in Omen of the Sea and Mystic Sanctuary, even the almighty Lurrus. With the new options available, only time will tell how powerful Counterbalance can truly become in Modern, and how expensive it can become as well. Big thanks to MTG Goldfish for providing most of the list and track records for the decks, and also to Everos for having some entertaining Lurrus Miracles gameplay on his channel. I hope this video introduced you to some new possibilities, and I'll see you next time.